live? Oh, we are live. There we are. Okay. Welcome. Today has been a little bit of a bumpy start, but we made it right now. And I'm so excited. We have a live Ask Me Anything Q&A with the most amazing ladies on the planet, Lauren and Renee from Biohacker Babes. How are you ladies doing?
So good.
Good to see you. Thanks for having us.
Good to see you too. And I'm so grateful I got to meet you both in person in Austin like a month or so ago, whenever that was. So it was
that was
fun.
so fun. So fun.
So fun. So we've already been getting some questions coming in through our Life Network feed for today and Instagram already. So I know everybody's super excited. And if you guys do not know who Lauren and Renee are, they are obviously, the voices of the Biohacker Babes. They have their own podcast. They have an incredible story and background and how they got into this space. And we did a deep dive on their background with a podcast that we did exclusively with them. Might be just like a month or two ago. So tune into that in Life Network. You guys can get the backstory on them. But anything like new and exciting happening in your world right now today, ladies? Just to update everybody.
The most exciting thing is that I'm home from a lot of travel, and I'm just so happy to be in a routine, not traveling, sleeping in my own bed. That's exciting for me.
Yes, I hear you. I'm always so grateful when I get back from vacation. What about you, Lauren or Renee?
Yeah, I actually kind of the same thing. I had an amazing 2 weeks in Europe. It was like the best trip ever. But, when you're traveling, your sleep sucks, your circadian rhythm's off,
I know.
Hot hotel room. So yeah, happy to be back in my own bed and getting back on this time zone, 9 hours across, it's a big jump. But
I know. And the hot hotel rooms are the worst, right? It's like, I can't do it. Like I crank the AC all the way down and I turn the fan like noise on, not just auto, but on. So I have that white noise background too, but still, it's just not the same. I wish I could travel with my, chili pad.
I know. It's not even the temperature. It's the mattresses. I find in a lot of these hotels are just hot. They retain so much heat. So I was just staying in a Marriott and like every hour I would wake up and have to move my legs to the cooler part of the mattress.
Yes.
An hour later, I'm just constantly trying to find like a cooler spot on the mattress.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I hear you on that. It's not fun. So I always like to check in too. So any upcoming like events and stuff that you guys were speaking on or anything new and exciting to announce for everybody?
We got a couple things.
Yeah, we're emceeing 3 events in the fall. So back to traveling. So we're both emceeing the Ultimate Wellness event in Miami in September. I'll be in LA for Health Span Summit in October. And then we'll both be in Tampa, Florida for Hack Your Health in November.
Oh my goodness. That is fun. Oh my gosh.
So some jet setting in the fall, but it'll be really, really a lot of fun.
Oh, too fun. Okay. Well, give us all the details on those. We'll make sure we can tune in and support in any way that we can. So if the audience doesn't know too, so they are the core contributing experts, a part of Life Network. So they have incredible offerings that they offer just from their background with nutrition, biohacking, obviously, but anything specific, just kind of like CTA. So people can kind of, if they do want to work more with you and different things that they can do.
Yeah.
Where do we begin? Renee, you go.
Well, yeah, I mean, just to connect with us, on Instagram, biohacker_babes, the podcast Biohacker Babes. Yeah, we would love to connect and, build this community more. And in Life Network, you can message us in there on the chats and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, super cool to be a part of it.
Yes. Lauren, anything to add to that?
Yeah, our personal pages too, Lauren_Sambatero on Instagram and Renee Bells on Instagram. And then, email, like we're happy to share emails if you just want direct contact with us. Always looking to connect and available for private coaching. We've done duo coaching together, but the podcast is always a great like free resource just to keep learning. And
it is. You guys bring on incredible guests. Yes, incredible guests and lots of nuggets that I learned from your podcast. So thank you for putting that out there. There's a and we actually now have your podcast streaming into Life Network as well. So if people haven't not had a chance to tune into that, you can get, some sneak peeks on some of their episodes that they've done recently. We have some of their latest ones on there. So you can check that out. And then, like Renee was saying, you can hop on the messages too with Life Network. We have our app is official now. It's free. So people can start messaging on there. So it's super fun. So,
awesome.
okay.
Yeah.
So for some of that nitty gritty getting out of the way, but I wanted to just make sure our audience knew who you were and who, they were tuning into today. So I'm grateful that you guys are here, and we have some questions that came in already from the Life Network platform. And I'm going to go ahead and pop up this first question. This is from Gabrielle Gendron. And she says, I'd love to hear from the experts why it's important to understand your baseline health to then begin biohacking, and if it's important to let your body level out the rest of it cut off every so often as it begins to learn new pathways. Excited to listen, ladies. So
yeah, I think this speaks to the bio-individuality of all of our different health journeys. There's no one size fits all. There's no one protocol or way that's going to work. And so I think just getting a baseline to see what your body where your body naturally sits, and then go from there, because there's so many biohacks. There's never a deficiency of biohacks that we could add to our day and to our routines in our life, but we're all about simplifying and figuring out like which ones resonate with you the most, which ones move the needle the most, which ones are really producing a difference subjectively and objectively. So we need that baseline so we have a comparison. Otherwise, we don't, we live with ourselves 24/7. I deal with this with clients all the time. I go, how are you feeling since the last time we met? And they'll go, oh, the same. But then I remember like, oh, you told me this was your baseline. How are you feeling now? And they're like, oh, I totally forgot about that. Oh my gosh, thank you for remembering. I do feel different. That symptom has dissolved, or this has changed. So it's really so crucial actually to have that baseline, because we don't notice these subtle changes. It's so difficult to notice the subtleties. And again, just the bio-individuality, which I think Renee can speak to that, whether we use wearables or lab work, anything that's going to give information on your own body that's different from everyone else.
Yeah. I think, like you said, maybe pick one thing, whether it's subjective data of what's my energy today, what's my mood, how do I think I slept last night, or objective data, blood work, wearables. Maybe you just pick one of those to start with to say, like, what's my baseline for what I'm trying to achieve? So say you're trying to optimize your sleep. Okay, what does my Oura Ring data say about my sleep now? Okay, what if I add in this supplement? Or what if I do breath work before bed? And then really see, because again, the bio-individuality, there are certain biohacks that are going to work for me and they're not going to work for you two maybe. And there are so many biohacks we can be doing every day. Wouldn't it be nice to just do the ones that are moving the needle for you? It will 100%. Save you a lot of time and money if you do that. So kind of like checking off the list, okay, that worked, that didn't work. And then you can fine tune your personal routine to really optimize your daily routine. Yeah.
100%. I love how you said time and money, because we are all bombarded with the latest and greatest wearables, trackers, supplements, everything. And we're like, yeah, I want to try that. I'm feeling that way. But then we add in too much, like you said. So, let the data drive your direction and your decision. So getting that blood work done. And like you said, just kind of like slow down, focus on one thing. Maybe it's sleep, maybe it's your HRV score, and then start adding and just kind of see what is moving the needle or not. So that's a very good takeaway. Thank you, Gabby, for bringing that question in. We had another one from Julie. So Julie, I know you're actually on StreamYard as well. So if you want to hop on live and ask them live, you can just send me a quick little message. If not, then I will ask the question for you. So this is coming from Life Network as well. And she is saying, what are some effective ways to slow the physical aging process to stay strong the longest? That's good, Julie.
That's fun. And thanks, Julie. I think you're on here. It'd be great to hear your voice. But amazing timing. We just did an incredible podcast yesterday about bone health and really optimizing our own skeleton for longevity, which we've discovered not enough people are talking about in the biohacking space, at least when we go to conferences. There's so many supplements, there's technologies, but sometimes we forget about the exercise piece, bone building. And that's not just the exercise like impact, osteogenic loading, but also mineral absorption, lowering stress, making sure there's not interference in the way of building good bone health. Our podcast guests both made the point, we could do all this anti-aging, but if you don't have the frame to hold up your mitochondria, like what good is that? Right? So I think that's a critical piece of anti-aging and keeping good physical health is really supporting bone health. And there's a myriad of ways to do that. But I think there's a lot of misnomers out in the conventional medicine space where people have osteopenia, osteoporosis based on a DEXA scan, which they explained is not always the most accurate information, depending on many variables. The technician, the day that you tested, who tested, and it's not talking about quality of bone. So there's a lot more to the story. And then also, a lot of doctors are putting people on these drugs which prevent the bone resorption, but we're not talking about how to rebuild the bone. Mm-hmm. So it actually works against us. So it's only part of the picture. So it's fascinating stuff.
Yes. Yes.
Hi,
Thank
Julie.
you for that. Hi.
Hi. Good to see you.
Good to see you, ladies.
Yeah. That's a great question, Julie. Renee, anything you want to add on that?
Well, I think also looking at bone health and then muscle, right? So, as we age, we become at a higher risk of falling. And if we fall and we fracture something, we know the risk of mortality is extremely high. So looking at all the bone stuff, like Lauren said, and then muscle. So especially for women, lifting heavy. And if you have, any joint pain where that's difficult to do, that's where something like an OsteoStrong or an ARX using these technologies can come in, so we can still build the muscle. But the muscle is going to help us to balance and hopefully not fall. And then the strong bone is going to protect us from fractures. So I think both of those are really important. And then mobility. Lauren is the mobility queen. Just having some kind of mobility practice every day, because that's going to keep us young, right? Yes. I think it'd be great to live till 100 just to say that we did, but if we're not moving and cooking for ourselves and going to the bathroom on our own, like, is that really living? So the physical side of aging is so important to look at.
Yes. Critical.
Yeah. So great question.
That's good. That's a really good question. Yes.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah. Thank you, Julie. Appreciate you asking that. So just to piggyback off of that too. And so many women are afraid of adding in heavier weights. So starting if you haven't added the heavier weights before, start small and work your way up. But don't be afraid to go heavy. It's not going to bulk you up. Like if you were really going to bulk up as a woman, like men, if you think the man's body versus the woman's body, like they have to be in the gym all day long and take all the crazy supplements in order to bulk up. So you are not going to bulk up as a woman if you add in heavier weights. So
But you made a good point. Like, it has to be done safely. And if you're training age, which is like the age of like your muscle wisdom. So it really does take like technique and practice and slowly building up. If your training age is quite slow, I mean, you could start with something as easy as rucking, just adding weight to your own body. They're showing people that have a higher body weight actually build more bone density because they have more impact, right?
That they're carrying more.
You're not a heavy backpack or getting a weighted vest or, carrying boxes, moving in and out of a house is potentially great for bone health.
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah.
Unfortunately,
yes. I hate moving so much. But when we moved from Arizona, Boise, just this last August, September, I had my like tracker on like how many steps I did. I don't know. It was like way into like 25,000 steps. I'm like, oh yeah, holy smokes. But then, definitely felt it. And then a note on rucking though too, because I always recommend the weighted backpack as well. And then I had some friends who like got probably around like 20 pounds or something that they were carrying. So it totally depends on your body frame and what you can carry. And then she ended up getting like severe neck pain and like caused headaches and everything like that. So being careful with your ruck, with your weighted vest.
Yeah.
I think mine, I want to say is like 12 pounds and I'm 5'5". It just depends on your body type. So I would definitely kind of start small with it, or maybe don't wear it for as long and just kind of notice how your body's feeling.
Yeah, always start small. But then if you have pain, then you're less likely to continue and have consistency. And consistency is the most important variable, always.
100%. Spot on with that one. Yeah.
I would add one more biohack in there, like the X3 bar. I think is a good one for if someone's new to lifting weights or strength training. That's a very good, like low impact, something you can do at home every day. And it will build some muscle. It's pretty wild.
That's so good. Yeah, that's a good tip. I actually don't have an X3 bar, but I have heard really good things about it. So do you guys have one?
Great. I do. Yeah. I used it during COVID when all the gyms were closed. I was like, all right, now's the time to invest in the X3 bar. And my husband and I both did it. And we followed it like to a T for the 12-week program. And we both saw amazing results. And we didn't lift any weights for those 12 weeks. We just did that and walked. That's all we did. And we were like,
wow, that's so cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah. And then just to kind of speak to Lauren's mobility piece too. So adding in consistent mobility, not just like here and there. Lauren, do you want to give some tips on that? I know we've talked about that before, but just for anybody who might be curious, just what is like a consistent way to add in some good mobility training each day?
I think the easiest way is just to try to remember how we moved as children, or to maybe get around some kids and try to get on the floor and move like them. That's easy mobility that's not so structured. I don't think it has to be structured. Certainly, if you have limited range of motion in a particular joint, it would, it would behoove you to do a very focused training schedule to improve that. Let's just say, for example, your squat is limited and you find that your ankle range of motion is not as good. We would really want to focus on the ankles, but just generally for anti-aging and longevity, just like get on the floor more. If you're sitting in a chair a lot, try sitting on the floor, or try sitting in a different type of chair, or try moving your position, crawling, laying on your belly and pushing your chest up, all the things that babies do. You can look at infant development. So babies first twist when they're in their cribs, they roll over, they figure out how to push their chest away. So we start to learn the push and the pull. They push, they pull themselves up, they do some squats, all these things that as adults we're like, oh gosh, that hurts my body. Just gently playing with that, knowing that it's going to take some patience and we have to build strength around those joints. So of course, the more consistently you do it, the better it's going to get. You can't expect that you're going to go from not being able to squat to squatting next week. It will take time. But I think we can create some joy out of it, because it can be frustrating to feel like, oh, I'm terrible at a squat. Like my hips just don't go that way. So just think of it as like exploration and play. I think just reframing that really helps. And that will probably help you create more of a routine out of it. Get the whole family involved, of course. I try not to sit on the couch when I stretch. I'm like, I'm getting on the floor. I don't know what's going to happen on the floor, but I'm going to get down there and just play and do what now I'm like throwing my arms and not thinking over.
You're excited. I love it. Yeah, too much.
Clear the area. Make sure you're not going to injure anybody or break things. But floor is a great way to increase mobility.
Yeah, it's so true. I love the reframing part of it. Like mindset is huge for anything in life, right? And just when it comes to eat, like if you're frustrated, like maybe you're just coming back from, a certain surgery and you're frustrated, like I cannot do what I used to do. Or maybe you haven't ever really had an exercise routine, just like starting small and thinking of it more as play, and just exploring and having fun with it, and just noticing their improvements little by little that are going to happen. And maybe it's not like a specific scale number victory, but like other victories, like just mental, attitude and outlook, and, how your body's feeling and your joints might be moving a little bit better, things like that.
Yeah. Being able to get up off the floor without pain, like that's a huge accomplishment and such a literal pain point that so many people feel getting when they're older. And I think we joke about it like, oh, it hurts to get up, I'm old, but we shouldn't be joking about that. I think that just perpetuates this myth that we're designed to get older and designed to be in pain. We can stay mobile and supple and flexible for a very long time. We just have to choose. We have to choose to engage with it.
Yeah, it can be hard if you reframe it again. It's hard to work out, or it's hard for me to fit it in my day. But then the whole thing is like, choose your hard. Yes, it's hard to get to the point where it's hard to get out of the chair, or it's hard to walk around the block, those type of things. Like you choose your hard, and start small, and that's so good. So good.
Yeah. I'll add one thing that I do is I do a really deep squat while I brush my teeth.
Ooh, I like that.
So it's like I like my electric toothbrush. It's a 2-minute timer. So I know I get down in the squat, 2 minutes, try and do that, twice a day.
Habit stack. I love it. Yeah. Like the goddess one, like the full, like all the way down.
Yeah.
And just like holding that one
almost to the floor. Yeah. And it just kind of like move around. My hips, my knees might pop a little bit.
Yeah, that's good. So I do like lunges and squats while I'm brushing my teeth. Like I've just always been doing those things whenever
it's like good for your brain. So much like cross body talk. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Lunging
that sounds like dangerous.
Like this.
You get used to it. I'll do like, or even just like when I'm like, so not just brushing my teeth. So whenever I'm getting ready, like in the morning or for the day, I'll be doing squats. My husband just makes fun of me like all the time, but that's okay. He's used to it after 21 years of being married now. So squats, lunges, I'll do like side to side, back and forth, like whatever I can do just to kind of wake up the body and the brain. And just, I can't sit still. Like that's just how I'm built now, because that's, I never stop moving.
Yeah. That's good.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay. So we have
to do that too. Awesome.
Yes, Julie. I love it. Yay. So Orlando, I know you are on here as well. So if you want to hop on the stage, put your camera on. If not, I will ask your question for you. And this is actually really cool and interesting that you brought this up. So is it true that women were not included in scientific studies until 1993? And then what would you say are some of the more interesting, perhaps shocking differences that were discovered as a result of, and it says, including both genders in newer studies? So yes. That's a good point. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not positive on the exact year. 93 sounds about right.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was primarily a safety concern. I think one, because if women got pregnant during a study, could that harm the baby? So that was like, okay, well, we don't want any women in reproductive years because that could be a danger. But also the fact that women, we have this typically 28-day cycle of hormones. So we are a different person throughout the month, and that can skew results because if your estrogen is high or your progesterone is high or low, that can skew how you react to different pharmaceuticals or whatever they're testing. So it makes it very difficult to track women. Versus men, they're on a kind of 24-hour clock. It's a lot easier to study. So it was partially safety, also to save time and money on a study to make it easier. So that's the first part. And then, I think the differences, oh gosh, I mean, I think there's a lot. I mean, women react to everything different because of the hormonal fluctuations. So,
yeah, I think we're still learning now, but to me, the biggest takeaway has just been the way that men versus women receive stress in the body. And there's positive stressors and negative stressors. We have eustress, which is like a hormetic stress, an acute dose of stress that could produce rebound healthy benefits, like a fasting, exercise, cold stress, right? But there's a limit to the stress, and that is bio-individual, but I guess we could largely separate men versus women. Because women have been designed and evolved to procreate, our tolerance for stress is much lower. So, when the men were out foraging and fasting and exercising, women were at home. And so we definitely need more nourishment. So the way that we respond to stress is it's much lower. So I think that is an acute awareness that we've become more aware of, I would say. But then we're also different even within the 28-day menstrual cycle. So that's where I think like the data quantification is so helpful, tracking the menstrual cycle and using like these subtle signs and symptoms, which can be a communication. It can be a conversation with the body on how we're doing and what the body needs. So I don't know. I think we have a long way to go with research, and I don't know if I would want to do a study on women. There's just endless variables. So I think the N of one experiment is really what we need to engage in until we have more of this research. But we all have the tools and we all have the knowledge within us. So I think that is the biggest challenge, is getting to know the bio-individual and what we need.
100%. And that's something I've learned the hard way myself, just owning my own fitness studios in my, 30s basically, and just hitting it hard all the time and not listening to my body. I didn't really have time to listen to my body either. So it was like teaching 6 a.m. classes and, then evening classes and like 13 classes a day. And, I definitely burnt my body out. And so it just got to, that's how I, went down my gut health journey and, because of stress and my body couldn't handle it, obviously. So you name it, it happened to me. But, but now, in my mid 40s, just becoming way more just in tune with my body and not pushing myself in certain workouts just because that's what I had kind of laid out for the week. I'll usually kind of like follow a certain program, but probably just within, I want to say just the last year, which is too funny. It's like, that's when I've really started to tune in to syncing my workouts with my cycle. And then I wanted to bring that up on your thoughts with that too, because we actually did have a question that came in on that. Because like for myself too, I did just start to do this in the last year. So what is the best way to start syncing workouts with your cycle? And why do you think that is good too?
Yeah, because this has been getting some hate on social media this week. So this is good timing.
Ooh, I don't even know about that. Catch us, Renee.
Some big names on social media this week are saying that cycle syncing your workouts is doing more harm. So here's my thought. Here's my thought on this. So, okay. So to first answer that question, how to start. So number one is make sure you really understand your cycle, right? You're tracking your temperature, you're using your Oura ring, whatever. You've mapped it out. Maybe you've even done hormone testing, like the cycle mapping from Dutch, where you really know what your cycle looks like. But then, so typically week 1, we want to move a little bit slower when we have our period, right? We can fast more. And then week 2, we're like, okay, we can hit it hard in the gym. Estrogen's rising, good time to lift weights. And then as we go into the end of our cycle, we want to calm things down, reduce stress, optimize sleep, do more yoga, walking, things like that. That's like average. So the haters on cycle syncing are saying that women are taking this information and saying, oh, it's week 4 of my cycle. I don't have to work out. I'm going to lay on the couch. Take the information and then still listen to your body. Because let me tell you, I can't tell you like how many times I've PR'd on day 2 of my cycle where you would say, what? That's not when you're strongest. But if you go to the gym during week 1 or week 4 where you think you're going to need to take it easy, but you feel amazing, don't say, oh, well, I can't because it's week 1. Say, oh, okay, I'm going to lean into this and see how I feel and see how I do. Yeah. Maybe it'll take me longer to recover, maybe not.
Right.
But being okay with listening to your body and not just following the hormone tracker. Does that make sense?
Well, and that's the whole point is opening this door to communication with the body. And I think what people need to know is cycle syncing is not a blueprint. It's a guide. And there's a lot of gray area, and it's going to change for each female. And it could even change for each female within each monthly cycle. One thing I do see go wrong with it, and maybe this is in addition to what you said about people sitting on the couch, sometimes people see that guide and then they go, oh my gosh, I'm messing this up because on day 13 I did the wrong thing and now everything's wrong. Well, like again, that could backfire. So I think it's knowing the personality. So as a coach, I try to be mindful of that mindset, personality, and know who I'm speaking to. But again, if we use it loosely as a guide and a window into conversing with our body, as Renee said, you may PR at an unexpected time. So I do think we have to kind of meld all different data points, the subjective, the objective, the loose guide of the cycle syncing. And it's really just permission at the end of the day to do what your body is designed to do and ready for that day. So I think the advantage is not pushing when it would not be beneficial to push and allowing yourself to rest on those days as well. So.
And rest does not have to be just laying on the couch. Rest can be going on a walk with your dog instead of doing a heavy hit workout or a strength workout that day. Maybe your protocol, and this is, I'm talking to myself, protocol was like, I have to do my strength training workout today. That was on my schedule. That's how I would have been back in the day. But now I will look at my stats in the morning. I know, Renee, you usually look at stats, and Lauren, you usually don't look at them first thing in the day, but unless that's changed. But so it's like I look at my stats, especially like during with my cycle too, and just how I am feeling. But then, okay, do I really need to slow down today? Or let me just like go for a walk and see how I feel, and then maybe add on strength, like being, just very in tune with your body. That seems like that's the really good theme for today. And okay, I don't have to push myself, but I don't necessarily have to lay on the couch all day either. And that's where I could see where there was some hate coming in with people who are like, this is so bad and this is not good for you. Tune into your body, do what you need to do. Some days I'm like, I'm going to be on my rebounder for 20 minutes and just like jam it out with some music, and that's what feels good, So it looks silly, but
it's so good. So good.
No, it's so fun. I think just to come back to this question, because it's like, how do we get started if this is new? I think look at a hormone graphic so you understand the sort of basic fluctuations, the rise and fall of estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. So you have the guide, but then whatever your data point is, if it's an Oura ring, some kind of wearable, or just subjectively, how do I feel? I would have carved out space for something physical every day, no matter what. So you're always showing up to that. So it's not like I'm going to do a workout or I'm not going to do a workout. It's I'm showing up in this space in my day, but what you do may change based on the metrics or how you're feeling.
100%.
Because we can very easily go, oh, I'm not supposed to work out. And then, you sit on the couch or do nothing. Space for mobility, space for a walk, go into nature, rebound. Like you said, there's so many other options. And that keeps us really in a routine. Because I think that's what people need the most. People need routine. And starting a routine is so hard. So carve out the time, and then what you're going to do in that time may change depending on how you're feeling.
And not just, it's not the routine for just the physical aspect, it's for the mental aspect, right? Like, and that's for me, that's what it is for. Like, I just need to like go outside and
my neighbor saw me yesterday and she was like, I didn't think that was you because you didn't have a dog. I was like, I already walked the dog. I need more steps for my mental health. I'm just walking.
That's funny.
Totally. I'm always with my dog too. And it's like, yeah,
you need more than your dog does.
Yeah.
I need some space from my children sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. And I think with the mental health too, I think looking at your HRV, if you do like to track your HRV, just being aware that it's going to probably drop off during the luteal phase, and that's okay to not be like, oh, why is my HRV dropping? And it's like, it's okay. It's just that time of the month where you need a little more recovery time. And to close out the thing that was going on social media this week, it started because they found that women actually can't put on muscle better during certain times of the month. That's what the new research was showing. If you can gain muscle the same every day of the month, but when estrogen is higher right before ovulation, you might just find it easier to lift heavy weights.
Yeah. And recovery could be easier too.
Cool.
And recovery could be easier. Yeah.
Okay. That's a good point.
But yeah,
I get it. I get where that hate could come from, but yeah.
Yes. But we got to debunk like the craziness.
Yeah. We don't have to be so extreme. On that extremeness, I know this was another one that had some heat recently for women specifically. So this one came through as well from Life Network. So thoughts on cold exposure for women. So I know there was some heat on this cold topic maybe about a month ago. So what are your guys' thoughts on this?
It's a stressor. It could be a positive stressor. It's like you got to know your own stress threshold. So I think use it wisely. I know a lot of women that I think overuse it. Again, leaning into how you feel, objective and subjective data. It's a stressor. That's it. Just know that it's a stressor, and you need to determine for yourself how much stress is actually beneficial or potentially hurting your recovery.
Yeah, good. Renee, thoughts on that? What about?
Yeah. And I think if you want to bring data in, looking at your HRV in the morning, is today a good day to do this fill in the blank stressor? Cold, heat, fasting. What is your HRV telling you that your body is ready for today? And I'm not a huge fan of cold. I'll be totally honest. It's not my jam. I love the sauna. I love the sauna.
Yeah.
There's so many benefits. Again, like there's a mental health component because we release dopamine, a lot of feel good neurotransmitters. But it can kind of like kick in a lot of these healing rebound effects with cold. I've had days where cold skyrockets my HRV, like positive boost. I've had days when, retrospectively, if I look back, there was a lot of stressors in that day, it will deplete my HRV. So it all just depends on like, how full is your tank? How high is your resilience that day? So that can change. Like some days I know I can only tolerate 30 seconds and that's okay.
Yeah. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be as long or as cold as, say for a man, maybe they are able to do it longer or colder. For me, I would way rather choose the sauna. But if I do the sauna closer towards the evening, I definitely need to cool my body down. So I'll go, mine's just a cold shower. I don't have a cold plunge or anything yet, but it gets very cold here in Idaho. So I do that just to bring my body temperature down and just kind of stay in as long as I can just to bring my body temperature down a bit.
Yeah. Just one more thing. Like, I think we work so hard to not compare ourselves to other people, but there's another challenge of like not comparing ourselves to ourselves. So you could say like, oh, I did 3 minutes last week. Like, why can't I do it this week? Like I suck. I got to push. But for the women, the menstrual cycle, it's going to change weekly and all these other potential variables. So it's just, again, like the cycle syncing, giving ourselves permission to be present and in the moment with our body and what it needs. That's going to change.
100%. Yeah. And my 45-year-old self is very different than my 35 and my 25-year-old self. So not comparing yourself to yourself back then. And then, now I'm perimenopause, like, I'm not up against, but my body's definitely going through a lot of hormonal fluctuations. So it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
We'll put it like that. Oh my goodness. Okay. So then this one's coming in from Hannah. In your experience, this is interesting too. We're on the same topic today. How has tracking your biometrics shaped your intuition and relationship with your body over time?
Massively.
Right.
Yeah. Do you want to start, Laura?
Yeah. I mean, again, this is, I think, the whole point in our opinion of wearing these metrics is to get in touch with our intuition, because we've been conditioned to not listen to signs, symptoms, signals from the body. I always think about my guru and teacher, Paul Chek. He's very against wearables because he's like, I listen to my body to know what I'm supposed to eat, how to move, how to think today. We're not all naturally as wise because we've been conditioned by these societal norms of, ignore that, push through, put a Band-Aid on it. We don't have time for that. So I think that the metrics are a way back into our natural intelligence, our innate wisdom. So yeah, it's definitely strengthened, reshaped, reconnected my intuition. So now I feel like personally, I don't need as much of a structured, rigid plan. I can listen to my body. But with coaching and clients, I don't always start people there because we have to build that trust in that intelligence and wisdom over time. So usually with clients, we got to start with a bit more of a blueprint. But long term, can we get off of these tech wearables metrics and let the body guide? So for me, it's been huge. It's been huge at strengthening that.
Yeah, same. I think the Oura Ring was probably the biggest game changer. CGM is, I think we talked about this last time. CGM is probably a close second. But yeah, I mean, and I think it really takes the work of looking at the data and asking your body, how do I feel? And matching that. Like I've had the Oura Ring for almost 7 years now. So I can kind of wake up and guess what my data is going to tell me at this point.
Yeah. Right.
But you can't just look at the data and ignore the other half. I think you really have to be bringing both to the conversation. And a CGM is huge. Like I really discovered that if I don't sleep well, my glucose is all over the place. And I don't know, maybe intuitively I could have figured that out if I really quieted things down and listened, but just seeing that data is just, you can't unsee it. And I don't wear a CGM all the time. I'll wear it for like 2 weeks, maybe a couple of times a year. I'm not wearing it 24/7 all year round. She's got hers on now. But it's like, I wear it for 2 weeks. I test a bunch of things and I learn and then I take a break and I try and just listen to my body. So yeah, I think biometrics are huge for that.
Awesome. Okay. So we had a few other questions come in. I want to be very mindful of your time. So I want to hit these more of just like a rapid fire style, if that's okay.
We'll be quick.
Okay. I know, right? It's hard. All right, let's see. Where do we want to start with this? So what is a low lift, high impact biohack for busy moms? If you can hit that one quick. I don't know.
The X3 bar?
Okay. Yeah.
X3 bar, or the rucking. Yeah. Get a weighted vest, even if it's just adding 5 pounds, 10 pounds, and you could just do some body weight squats with that.
Totally. I like that. Good. Renee?
Pick up your kid and do some squats.
Yes. I do that.
Yeah. I don't know if you would add this in like something like the Carol bike. I mean, I love the Carol bike because I hate doing cardio. So that's more like, I would say high impact, just because in the 8-minute workout, you're improving, blood pressure, cardiovascular markers, your VO2 max. And that's 8 minutes 3 times a week versus someone going to the gym and running on a treadmill for an hour a day. So that would qualify.
And I wonder if this question was specifically around workouts or if that was just sort of.
Yeah, it's hard to say. So I would, if I'm putting myself back in my shoes too, when my kids were little, putting them in the stroller and like just going for a walk for as long as you can with the kids in the stroller, even though that's not necessarily a biohack, but that's just a way to give yourself a breather outside. Like I would always notice when my kids were like crying and stuff, like put them in the stroller, take them outside and they would stop crying. It's like something about like being outside and looking at nature, like they would stop crying. So like that was always my hack back in the day, like put them in the stroller, just go for a walk. And then sometimes I would listen to a podcast, at the same time, or just like breath work while I'm walking and they're busy just soaking in nature. And it gives me a moment too. So
yeah, I would definitely say that's low lift, high impact. So many benefits to getting outside. So many.
That definitely helped me. Okay. Another one. What's one biohacking tip you wish every woman in her 40s knew?
Gosh, I think your mind controls so much. And we can really hold on to like old belief patterns, even when we say we don't live by those anymore. I guess personal experience, like end of my 30s and now I'm now crested into my 40s. I'm just realizing these old sort of patterns that are still kind of creeping in sometimes. And I think that the thoughts that we think we know, like Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton tells us, they inform ourselves. They inform like what we feel and how we connect with the physical world. So I think as a biohack, really giving yourself time and space to address old traumas, old beliefs, journaling, just seeing like trends that kind of come up with your thought patterns and the way that you respond to the world. There's so many connections to how your health then expresses. So it just feels like they kind of accumulate at that point in your life and probably ongoing. So at some point, do the emotional work.
That's good. All right, Renee, what about you?
Yeah. This is truly a biohack. I would say HRV biofeedback. I think I talked about this last time. I love it. And it's something that you can do just even 5 minutes a day, because I think, in your 40s, as your hormones start to change pretty quickly, stress is huge. Right. And so I think instead of jumping on, I think bioidentical hormone replacement therapy is amazing. But if we're not looking at stress first, it's kind of just a healthy Band-Aid. Because if our stress is high, that's potentially going to increase sex hormone binding globulin, which could then make all of your hormones look low. But if we address the stress first, could that help? And so HRV biofeedback is just my number one tool for combating stress, because you're incorporating breath work, which we know is amazing for heart rate variability, but also it's training your nervous system to be more resilient to stress. And I find, especially women in their 40s, that's like your parents are aging, your kids are busy, you're still working full time. It's a busy time. So 5 minutes a day of HRV biofeedback would be my number one tip.
That's a good one.
That's really good. I would add on sleep. The importance of sleep, because I definitely know in my 20s, 30s, it's like, you'll sleep when you're dead, all those type of things. Like, I'm just going to hit it hard, own my own business, like get up, do the grind, have my kids do all those things and do every single thing. But when you're not sleeping well, everything else suffers, right? Like stress, gut health. Like I was suffering with so much gut health. And if I just was sleeping better, like I really probably would have been able to not have so much happen to my body. Who knows? But, and even just like people who are struggling to lose weight or holding on to weight, just sleeping and focusing on sleep. So that would be mine.
Yeah, it's so essential. But then, it's a huge pain point for a lot of people. It's like, I can't sleep. Like, I'm not good at sleep. I don't have time because I have kids, or I'm just not a good sleeper. And there's so many underlying causes for that. But I think a big overlooked one would be like poor detoxification. Our body is burdened with so much in the environment, from the stuff we put on our bodies, the food that we eat, the thoughts that we think, the air that we breathe. And not to say that to get overwhelmed, but looking at drainage pathways, even just wearing something like a castor oil pack, or doing a little bit of fasting, just to make sure that your body has the resources to do that recovery and detoxification while it's sleeping. That's a big, big cause that I see for women. For men and women, but then women going through the hormonal changes, we got to make sure that stuff is getting out of the body, not recirculating.
100%. And I think that was my issue too, back in the day. Like, I wasn't sleeping, I was holding on to stress, and my body was not able to release and detox. So I do the castor oil packs myself at night, as often as I can, probably like 4 times a week, at least. I know. Well, just because like I'm still kind of healing my gut, and I just feel better when I do. So why not? And it's easy.
Yeah, you feel the difference.
Hug for your body. It's nice,
right? Yeah, I do notice the difference. So that, and I don't know. It's important. So, but like you said, some people do struggle with it, but, and I do like how you said, Lauren, a little bit of fasting too, because each person with fasting, and women specifically, your body still does need some digestive rest. So it is very important to kind of give it some time to, like, let's stop eating and let's give the body some time to kind of process what's happening. So, and like, just maybe like a 12-12, like a 12-hour fast overnight. It could be all it needs. So just kind of tune into that too. So
yeah, great point.
Yeah.
Oh, ladies, we could go on and on all day. I appreciate you.
I know, so many great things in Orlando. Thanks for all the comments and questions.
Yes,
I
love the interaction. So great.
I know. It's so fun. So we'll definitely have to do another live with you guys, because you are a wealth of information, and so grateful to both of you for your time. So for those who were not able to join in from before, let people know where they can follow you.
Yes, on Instagram, biohacker_babes. We have our own personal pages, Lauren_Sambatero. Hopefully you can remember that. Renee Bells. And then we have our website, Biohacker Babes, which will direct if you don't remember any of the Instagram stuff. You can find us online.
Yes, definitely. And come hang out with us in Life Network too. Download the app. It is free and you can get all of this amazing content from them on there as well too. And we're grateful for you all for tuning in today. Thank you, Lauren and Renee, for your time, and have a great rest of your day, you all.
Thanks for having us. This was so fun.
Thank you. Bye, you guys. All right.
Bye.